Why do you think she's so divisive? People either love her or hate her.
I mean, I think it's because of that purity that I'm willing to say, sort of, you get what you deserve, and that kind of lack of charity. And part of that in her work is because she creates this fictional world where she can set everything up just so. And so you don't have contingency or accident or bad luck, or you don't really have a lot of children. You don't have handicap. Just have this idealized world. And I think it's really infuriating for people who feel that's so inaccurate. How can you be deriving a social theory and philosophy around this? And how can you be missing what seems to many people she's missing the kind of ethical instinct or the altruistic or charitable instinct? And so they just become enraged at that, and they don't want to see anyone go that far, and they're outraged that someone went that far, that did the thing that Frank Knight said no one would do. It's just it's very unsettling.
Would you say that's her main blind spot? The main flaw of objectivism is just how black and white it paints the world? Or if not, I mean, what would you say are the flaws of objectivism?
So, I mean, the big flaw is that it's justified through a fictional world. It's not justified through reference to the real world. It's not empirical in a way. It's not. And Rand herself would say that she's not writing about things how they are, but how they should be. And so that idealism, it just really undermines it as a mechanism to understand where we're actually living.
And that is a big contrast with Milton Friedman, who would focus on how things are versus how things should be.
And then I think it's the problem of elevating rationality over any other mode of insight or thinking. And so what happens in Rand's life, and I describe this in some detail in the book, is she essentially creates a cult of reason around her. And people who are drawn into this cult, it's called the Collective. It's a group of young people in New York City who are drawn to her work. And she's already famous, but she's writing Atlas Shrugged. And so she's sharing drafts of Atlas Shrugged as she goes along. And one of the members of the Collective, to bring all of this together, is Alan Greenspan, who later be head of the Federal Reserve. And he's incredibly taken with her. He's one of these people who says, I was a narrow technical thinker. I never thought about ethics or politics or anything bigger until I met Ayn Rand, and she really opened my mind. So he's part of this tight-knit group. But over time, in this tight-knit group, they think of themselves, we are all individualists. We're dedicated to individualism and capitalism. We're different than everybody else. Over time, they all come to share Ayn Rand's views and opinions on everything from music to art to clothes. She gets a dining room table, and a bunch of them get the same dining room table. And it becomes incredibly conformist because they've all believed they're acting rationally. And they believe that to act rationally is to agree with Ayn Rand. And they believe there's no other way to make decisions than rationality. And so to disagree with her is to be irrational. They don't want to be irrational. So people get really caught up in this very damaging cult-like circle around her.
Plus, for a cult of reason, they get awfully emotional when there's any disagreement with Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hilarious. It's absurd, but it's it's also beautiful to watch this singular figure. We've talked about several singular figures in like Frank Wright that shakes up the world with her ideas.
Yeah.
And of course it would form a cult. And of course that cult would be full of contradictions and hypocrisies.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. There's so Murray Rothbard, who's a famous anarchist, falls into the Ayn Rand cult. And then he disagrees, and there's some type of show trial where he's told he's wrong about everything. And then he has a little sort of pseudo cult of his own. And two of his cult members switch over to Ayn Rand. And then one of them, to show to gesture their breaking of their relationship, mails him a dollar bill that's been torn in half. I mean, this is high theatrics, right?